Welcome to tonight's webinar. Glad to have everybody on the line. I'm calling in from San Diego, California. My name is Michael Rutherford. We're thrilled to have everybody calling in tonight. I know we have folks calling in from all over the world. We can kind of see it on the registration page as everybody is filing in, so appreciate you being with us tonight. You know, it was about 2 weeks ago we had a fantastic event in San Diego down in La Jolla that was called Playbook 1.0, and the topics discussed are going to be some of the same topics discussed tonight, which were mobile engagement, how to engage the world through a mobile device, mobile apps, and the idea that our entire lives have been appified, or that saying that you've all heard, there's an app for that. And it was interesting as we had speakers come across the stage that all of which looked, you know, kind of like kids. They were all in their 20s, but yet they represented 10 and 15 and $20 million companies that were just a year or two old in the mobile app space. We learned about how games influence our life. We learned about gamification, and one of the speakers that's going to talk tonight is an absolute expert on that concept of gamification. What I'm more excited about than the event we just did in San Diego is the event we're going to do in Dallas in April, and all the things that tonight is going to lead up to teach you why that event is an absolute must attend. There's going to be two other speakers tonight. I just get the chance to host and introduce them, one of which has been in transformation in technology for years. He's built companies that have gone public. He's built companies that have gone all over the world. His name is Jim Bunch. But the first speaker I get to introduce is a great friend of mine. I was in his wedding last year. I've gotten to know him very well, worked very closely over the last several years as he's been a huge player in the mobile engagement space, and he's a fierce competitor. It's just a fun dude, and you're going to love it as he kicks off tonight. So the first person I'd love to welcome to the call is Brian Underwood. Brian, are you with us?
I am here. Can you hear me okay, Michael?
Yes, sir.
Well, great. It's great to be online with everyone, and I do know that we have quite a few people calling in from not only all across the country, but literally all across the world. And if you, like me, are on the telephone line, you're probably an entrepreneur. You're probably looking to learn, what's hot in the marketplace. And, one of the things that I think we're going to share with you tonight is some strategies in the market that you're going to find are no longer trends. But I think there are strategies in the markets that all of us, once we kind of dive into this conversation, our awareness is going to be heightened because it's something that every single one of us are participating in on a day in and day out basis. And one of our goals and outcomes through not only this process tonight, but really leading up to Dallas, Texas, and giving everyone an invite to come out to our next Playbook event is to give you a vehicle to where you can take some of these strategies that we're going to be teaching on over the course of the next 7 weeks and give you a vehicle to where you can capitalize financially in the global market on the mobile movement that's taking place. And so, we've been able to assemble an incredible team and a project that I've been, literally entrenched in for the last 15 months, along with some incredible partners surrounding us. And so, with that being said, just to share with everyone where this entire concept began is a little over 3 years ago, close to 4 years ago. As an entrepreneur, I was looking for what was hot in the marketplace. And I believe that every single person on the telephone line, you can relate, because one of the things that we do as entrepreneurs is we want to go where the action is, where the excitement is. And I had a mentor of mine tell me over 20 years ago that the key to creating wealth was very simple. Where a lot of people think it's hard work or education, I found that I knew a lot of hardworking, well-educated, quite frankly, broke people out in the marketplace. And my mentor told me, he said, it's very simple. He said, growth is what creates wealth. Growth multiplies and magnifies your income. And if you can position yourself in front of a growth industry, in a growth environment with a growth company, then that growth can multiply and magnify your income. And it was never more evident to me than when I was standing in Times Square, was in New York City, meeting with some venture capitalists, meeting with some, other entrepreneurs, and really identifying a marketplace that I wanted to segment myself into. And I was sitting there in the advertising capital of the world. And if you could imagine walking through the middle of Times Square, where billions of dollars had been spent on advertising all around you, all of the lights and all of the billboards. And when I looked around, no one's head was looking up at the billboards. However, everyone's eyes were on their mobile phones. And that's when it hit me. It's about going where the eyes are. And so we aggressively created a company and became one of the fastest growing companies in the mobile engagement and mobile media marketplace. And so for those of you that are on the line, we can talk about mobile, all night long, because it's something that's fun, that all of us have been a part of creating this movement over the last decade. But what I really want to do is identify everyone what this marketplace is about, because where the wealth is where that growth segments of the market are. And that growth has to do with the shift of trillions of dollars in the marketplace. And so if you take a look really at where we're at today in the market, if we could go to the next slide, is if you can just think back, years ago, the companies that have had the most credibility in the marketplace, the most pull, the wealthiest companies in the market have been the companies that could reach audiences. It's been the companies that, have mostly been in media, whether it's print media, whether it's radio or TV advertisement. And if you really look back at some of the benchmark brand names in the marketplace, it will share with you, or it will leave you clues on why they became the brand names that they became. Was because they were able to get wide audiences because of advertising through print, radio, and TV. And so that's why companies would always seek those relationships out with those multimedia conglomerates. And it was evident to me, when I was in San Antonio, Texas, this was back in the 90s, had an opportunity to meet Phil Knight, the owner of Nike. And for a lot of you, you know him as the Just Do It guy. But before Phil Knight adopted Just Do It, there was an individual that gave him, he told me, his number one piece of advice when he was launching the Nike brand name. And so as I had an opportunity to meet Phil Knight, I said, me and my buddy that was with me, we were going to ask him one question. The question that we asked him is, hey, listen, we're young entrepreneurs. We're looking to, get started in business. What would you tell us? What recommendation would you tell us to do? What was a pivotal piece of the success in your business? And Phil looked at us and he said, number one, make good stuff. You have to make good stuff. And he said, but number two, he said, the biggest difference that I made in my career was I listened to an individual named Dan Wyden from Wyden and Kennedy. And he said, advertising is the key to you making your brand name. And he said that was the turning point of Kennedy, is the advertising company that came up with the Just Do It slogan. And so because he was able to go out and start advertising to mass audiences, Nike blew up and ended up becoming the brand name that we know today. And for a lot of us, you can remember those times where he started endorsing Michael Jordan. Why? Because Michael Jordan had a huge audience that he had influence and persuasion with. But over the course of the last 10 to 15 years, we've seen this shift of trillions, move from the traditional media conglomerates to you. We have become the biggest conglomerates in media, advertising, and truly going out and penetrating mass audiences. Why? Simply because of technology. Technology has given us platforms to connect with people easier and quicker than ever before. And I think a lot of us can understand that if you just go back and reference when we first started, getting on email. The reason why Hotmail was valued at $420 million was because they had eyeballs, they had audiences. As we started transitioning on the way that we were communicating through electronic mail. And these segments of technology have just evolved, but they have all evolved around one key component, and that key component was leveraging you on this telephone line, leveraging your audience. Because every single one of us, we have eyeballs. We have an audience of people that we have persuasion, influence, and relationships with. And these platforms just gave us the ability to connect those audiences together in a social graph. Then you had Facebook come up on the scene, which all of us know the audience that they created. YouTube, Twitter. But the key to really these companies is now we have become the biggest single key in today's media. We have shifted it forever. Why? because no longer is the power in the hands of TV or radio or print. Just like in Russia when the meteor struck down on Earth just a couple weeks ago, how did you learn about it? How did you see it? It probably wasn't because you were watching on TV. You probably got a notice through Facebook or a text from a friend or on YouTube on your mobile phone, and you were able to view that news. And the reason you were able to view it real time was because people were filming that news, that media, right from their mobile phone. So now, as consumers in the marketplace, we have become creators of content, and not only creators of content, but publishers to be able to reach mass audiences. So the reason why these companies have become the most powerful companies and some of the most successful companies over the course of the last 10 years is because of one reason. They have eyeballs. They have audience. And a lot of these companies are valued today not because of the amount of revenue they generate, but they are valued today because of the audiences that they have. So the exciting news is as we learn this and as we move forward as entrepreneurs, it's about how do we harness the power that we have to create a ripple in the market? How do we harness the power of our influence and persuasion to where not only we could track it, but how we can also monetize and make money from it, because everything today is not about the internet interface, it's about going mobile, because that's where the eyes are. And so that's what we're going to share with you for those that come to Dallas, is an enabling technology that we've created that puts the power back in the hands of the people. That's you. And our entire model is based on eyeball acquisition. Eyeball acquisition is the most powerful business model in today's marketplace. Why? Because where the eyeballs are, the value is. And so we've done case study after case study. You know, we have a strategic advisor who owns the company Mogul. It's a mobile app, and he pays anywhere from $9 to $47 per eyeball that's acquired, meaning every time someone downloads his app, he's paying a company or an advertising firm anywhere from $9 to $47 to get him those eyeballs, because usually when you have an app on your phone, your eyes are going to be on your phone using that app. So that is power in the marketplace. It's value in the marketplace. So we're going to help everyone understand the power of eyeball acquisition, and eyeball acquisition is all about mobile. And here's the exciting news if you're on the call tonight is you don't have to take it from me. You don't have to take it from Jim, who you're going to hear from, or Michael. You can just look at the current credibility in the marketplace. You can look at all of the most recent periodicals on the newsstand. Just pick one. It doesn't matter, from Entrepreneur Magazine talking about the young millionaires playing in the mobile space, or read Time Magazine in the Wall Street Journal when interviewing Mark Zuckerberg at the beginning of the year, and he said the number one mistake he made was not making Facebook a mobile company when he launched it. He said today, he said Facebook will be known 100% as a mobile company. Why? Because that's where the eyes are. That's where people are spending all of their time, is on that mobile engagement. And so what I've always said is that success leaves clues unless you're clueless. And so to me, it's all about common sense. But I think a lot of you would agree with me today that common sense just isn't that common. So as all of us are participating in this mobile movement, using our phones for everything, and not leaving home without our mobile phones, the question that we really have to ask ourselves is how we can monetize. We're participating already, because just look at some of the companies and the most recent phenomenons in business over the last 5 or 6 years. They have been able to engage you from a mobile app, and they've been able to drive their audience and their eyeballs because they've driven their companies based on you. Take a look at Instagram, sold for $1 billion cash. How did Instagram go virally? They were able to tap into your contacts. They were able to tap into your Rolodex. And through you inviting people to use that app and share that app, they created $1 billion valuation. Words with Friends, Boxer, that was at one time downloading over 200,000 downloads every single day. They're valued at close to $1 billion, and guess what? They don't have any revenue coming into the company, but they have eyeballs. The question that I have to ask you is, who are these companies truly being driven by, and how much money have they paid you to go drive their value as they've all been able to cash out? It's just something to think about. The reality of it is that this isn't a trend that we're talking about. Trends come and go. This truly is a shift, and it's the biggest shift that we're going to see in our lifetime. Smartphones are used for everything. The apps are what makes the phone smart. That is the engagement piece and the technology behind it. But smartphones are indispensable. Think about what you're doing right now. Probably 90% of the people that are on this webinar, you're on your mobile phone listening to it, and you're probably sending out text messages and probably playing a video game as we're talking, because it's transformed consumer behavior. It's allowing us to make purchases easier and quicker than ever before. It's very simple. We do everything with our smartphones, from communication to entertainment to productivity. And that's the exciting things, is it helps us navigate the rest of the world. So just think about that as we start moving through, the rest of this conversation tonight, is start understanding the playing field that you're playing on. And if we're all entrepreneurs and we're in business, what we want to do is we want to expand the marketplace that we can play in. We want to play on the biggest playing field that we possibly can. And the thing that is evident is how the smartphones are penetrating all across the world. I mean, quite frankly, if you just take a look at the global view of where smartphones and where mobile phones are in terms of adoptance, in a lot of countries there's more mobile phones than there are people. So we know for 100% that if we can create a transition in the space, utilizing strategies that you're going to hear about tonight, but utilizing mobile engagement, number one, to engage and connect an audience quicker and easier than ever before. And if we can truly transcend these industries by using strategies that you're going to hear about, then we can make the competition irrelevant when it comes to the value that people create in the marketplace, because we're going to reward people that are creating that. And these are some of the things that you're going to learn in Dallas, and you're going to have an opportunity to help us, launch what we believe is one of the most powerful enabling technologies that will transcend and go into uncharted waters. So, the really fact is that there's billionaires that are perceived to be billionaires overnight. Why? It's because they're in the right place at the right time. And I can tell you, over the next 12 to 24 months, there is going to be a global phenomenon. There's going to be more and more millionaires and billionaires that pop up on Forbes magazine, Fortune magazine, because they understand not only where the markets are, but where the markets are going, and they have the ability and the foresight to anticipate and take action. And the reality of it is, most people don't know right now the value that they have in the marketplace. And so what we want to do is get way ahead of that curve and give people a vehicle to participate. Because I think all of us know in today's marketplace, mobile is definitely here. And we all understand that no matter what it is that we're doing on a day in and day out basis, they're making an app for it. And in business today, it's about appifying everything. And it's a marketplace that has become so fragmented. There's more apps out there than we could ever download. There's more app publishers out there that will never get their app out in the marketplace. Why? Because the search and discovery is broken, meaning the way that we find out about an app is not that we Google it or we search for it. We usually get told about that app or that product through a friend. And what we want to do is share with you some innovative and creative ways to drive consumer behavior and get rewarded for doing naturally what you've been doing, over the course of the last 10 to 20 years. And so with that being said, I want to encourage each and every one of you that are on the phone to be in Dallas. We're very excited. I'm actually here right now. We're excited about not only sharing with everyone that's on the telephone line, some more information about these strategies and share with you some more information about where the market's going, but we also are excited about, really enlisting you as partners and helping us plug into a system to create a movement that we believe can span the globe. And so with that, an integral part of the team that's come on board and, has really been an integral part of helping us bring this enabling technology to life that you're going to learn about is someone that has been going along a parallel path and understanding where the markets are going. And, he loves technology. He understands how to use technology that is transforming human behavior. And so I'm going to ask him if he would come on the line to share with everyone a little bit about his passion and understanding of these strategies that we're talking about tonight. And it's been a pleasure working with him. I can tell you that, we've been able to connect and work and grow an incredible relationship. And he's someone that I've known about him and his success for literally years and years. And so with that being said, without any further ado, I'd love to turn the call over to Mr. Jim Bunch.
Thank you, Brian. And every time I hear you go through that, I get more and more excited about where we're headed and where everybody who's on this webinar is going to have a chance to play with us. So thank you so much, and wonderful job, my friend. It's interesting. I have a question for you guys before we dive into the next chunk of this, and my question is really simple. If someone were to ask you, what is the most valuable real estate on the planet, what might you say? I can tell you when somebody used to ask me that question, because I was involved in technology for 15 years, we've dabbled in real estate, and I know that, you always want to own real estate that's either on the top of a mountain, on the edge of a golf course, or oceanfront property. And so I used to answer that the most valuable real estate on the planet was oceanfront property. But as Brian said, when he had that shift as he was walking through Times Square and noticed that nobody was looking up, everybody was looking at the palm of their hand, I had this awareness that the most valuable real estate is actually on the home screen of your phone. So if you look at this home screen, there's, 16 icons and then another 4 at the bottom. So if you can put an app on the home screen of someone's smartphone, they're most likely going to look at that 5 to 10 to 50 times a day. I mean, take a look at your home screen right now and ask yourself, what is on my home screen? Because that's making an impression on your mind every single day. And even better, the oceanfront property are the 3 or 4 icons that you have at the bottom. Maybe you have a phone, or maybe you have mail, or maybe you have a text message, or maybe you have, something else. Maybe you have a game there, who knows? But when you start looking at where the eyeballs are, as Brian mentioned, and you look at the power of smartphones across the world to be in the hands of literally billions of people looking at it 5 to 10 to 15 times a day, there isn't another medium out there that can compete with that kind of attention. And that, again, to reinforce what Brian said, is why Mark Zuckerberg said, I should have been a mobile company first. And this is a huge trend. And think about this for a minute. How many of you have downloaded some kind of health app? All right, maybe you've got the Nike Fit app that syncs with the band that you wear, that tracks how much you move, and it creates a game and it scores your activity. Maybe you have some wealth apps. I don't know if you have maybe an online banking app, right, where you can access your Bank of America or Wells Fargo or your credit union. Maybe you've got a Mint.com app, where you can look at your budgets or track your spending. Maybe you've got an airline app or a flight or a travel app that notifies you when there's delays or when there's gate changes. Right? Or maybe you have some kind of a gifting app that allows you to send and receive gifts. The reason that I'm bringing this up is there literally are apps for everything. Recently, actually this was about a year ago, I bought my first online ticket to a seminar ever. And I bought it on my mobile phone. I paid about $1,997 to go to a gaming summit, which is a technology summit, up in San Francisco about a year ago. The company that I used, the app that I used, is a company called Eventbrite. When I purchased that, I became one of 600 million people to have made a purchase through Eventbrite. Now, thinking about a business model for a second, if you had an app that had 600 million people make a purchase on there, how would you monetize it? Well, the way that Eventbrite does it is they charge a per ticket fee of $1. So they sold 600 million tickets. They charge $1 per ticket sold. In addition to that, because they're creating the platform for the transaction, they're also taking a percentage that typically ranges somewhere between 4 to 6% of the ticket price. Now, how much did I pay for my gaming ticket? Almost $2,000. So they're taking a percentage of the ticket price and $1 for every transaction. So I don't know if you've made a mobile transaction or not yet. I remember that was the first one that I made, and it woke me up after I had made the transaction that I just invested $2,000 over an app to go to an event. And we're seeing this every day. As a matter of fact, the real question you have to ask yourself is, which side of these transactions are you on? Are you on the side that is spending money, or are you on the side that is receiving money? Or maybe you're on both sides. The simple reality is there's new apps popping up every day. For example, this one, Giftly, who just raised another $2.8 million in new funding for their company that simply allows someone to give someone else a gift through an app. Okay? So we all love to gift. Maybe it's a birthday, maybe it's a special event or an occasion or something like that. Somebody's message pops up on your Facebook or it pops up on your calendar and you go, oh my goodness, I don't have time to go to the store. What if I could just send them a gift to a local restaurant or maybe to their local coffee shop or something like that? So what's amazing is we're already seeing transactions happening every single day. But if you take this social phenomenon that we've been talking about, if you take the mobile and the app phenomenon that we've been talking about, and you add to it one of the most exciting and transformational technologies ever to hit, what you actually start to discover is that there are companies out there that have figured out how to make these buying processes fun, how to make them exciting, how to engage us every single day so that we are incentivized in this thing called gamification. Now, gamification, if you've never heard of it before, I used to think was just playing games. And playing games is fun. As a matter of fact, a few years back, we had some friends over to our house, brand new friends or more acquaintances. We're opening some bottles of wine. The gentleman and I got to talking about what kind of business they're in. They had started a gaming company. Now, 80% of apps that are downloaded currently are games. They're entertainment apps. And so we start talking, and I said, well, what kind of companies, what do you do, this, that? And he said, well, for example, we've created a series of games that sit on top of Facebook, and you can play them on your phone or you can play them on your computer. The company's called Playbook, but one of the things is called Mobsters, one of the games. And I said, oh, that's interesting. What do you do? I said, well, you build up a mob by recruiting your friends and your networks to play with you. That's your mafia. And then you acquire, money through the game and artillery by knocking over newspaper stands and grocery stores and old ladies. I went, what? Old ladies? He goes, it's a game, this, that. And, of course, I got a 2-year-old at the time, so I'm a little like, what's going on here? So he says, yeah. He goes, this is a huge trend. He said, we started a little over a year ago, and currently we have 19 million active users on our game. And I went, well, wait a second. You started a year ago, and you've been able to recruit 19 million players into your game? And he said yes. And about that time, his wife, Rona, this is Rick Thompson, his wife, Rona, steps up and says, by the way, if you ask us tomorrow at dinner, we'll have 20 million active users. And I went, 1 million people a day, they're growing. And I said, okay, I'm a business person, so tell me a little bit. How is it that you've monetized this? And Rona says, well, the interesting thing is that we've done some micro funding. In other words, people will spend 99 cents to change their avatar's hair to look like Angelina Jolie, or to buy some artillery to fight one of the other mobs or something like that. So I go, okay, do you mind if I ask how much you're doing? And they said, well, right now we're doing about 30 million in revenue. And I scratched my head, I choked on something, and I got up to go to the restroom. What I actually went was I went downstairs to my office to Google their company name. What was interesting is, while I was doing that, one of my friends, Randy, from the East Coast, happened to see that I popped on my computer. He instant messaged me, said, what are you doing? I said, I'm having dinner with Rick and Rona Thompson of Playbook. He goes, Playbook? He goes, I just took out my American Express Black Card. He was playing the game. I took out my American Express Black Card and spent $500 to knock off one of the other mobsters. And I'm like, well, that's not a 99-cent transaction. That's a $500 transaction. I said, thank you, Randy. You just paid for our wine. I went back upstairs and I finished the conversation. But what happened is it took me into a whole new area of learning. And what happened is I started to realize that these people who have designed these games have figured out how to incentivize us and engage us and monetize us, and they're infiltrating every single aspect of our life. So I've been talking about this thing of gamification being, games for fun. And some of you are familiar with Farmville, and maybe you've heard of some of these other mobile and social games. But the simple reality is this: the world is now becoming gamified. And what I mean by that is many of you have already been gamified way before technology came out. You just may not be aware that that's what it was called. But the original gamification started with S&H green stamps. Remember those stamps you'd collect and they'd have some strange value, but you could get in a catalog and get stuff. Or maybe your experience of gamification was through flights. If you collect frequent flyer points, you've been gamified, right? You're collecting points for the travel, and you can turn those in for rewards. It's a game. Well, they've gamified shopping. They've gamified dining out. They've gamified a lot of different industries. As a matter of fact, the one that Brian mentioned earlier called Mogul, what our buddy John Carter did, one of our friends and advisors, he raised $14 million because he wanted to get in the gaming space, and he said, you know what? I'm going to gamify the restaurant industry. I'm going to allow consumers to go to the restaurants that they already love to go to. But I'm going to get them to download my app. I'm going to get them to enter in their credit cards, all of the credit cards that they would normally use when they go out to eat, enter it into my app, and once they do that, all they have to do is check out like they normally would at the restaurant, use that credit card, and it's automatically going to give them a 10% commission or bonus back on their whole meal. So I went to a sushi restaurant twice this month. We spent a little over $253. So I earned $25 back on my meal for going to the same place. I didn't have to pull out a loyalty card or anything like that. But the way he gamified it is not only do I get the 10% back for just doing what I would normally do, is now I'm the mogul of the month. As a matter of fact, I think we just won a bonus cash prize for being the person who spent the most at our restaurant. So what's happening is that his company is actually getting people to go in mobs to dinners. One person says, I'll pay, everybody else give me cash. And they're running up their bills, they're drinking more, they're eating more. You know, maybe it's not good for everybody's health, but the reality is he's gamified it. And now the restaurant owners are getting higher ticket volumes, people are having more fun, they're getting more social. So not only should you be thinking, what are the apps that I could use, or what are the apps that I might potentially create, but how is it that I could create something, an experience that could be gamified, something that could be fun, something that could be exciting, that could basically do this. It could help somebody download your apps, refer your friends, and earn rewards. Because the simple reality is, if we can make the shopping more exciting, if we can make dining out more fun, if we can make, communicating with people across the world on a free app more engaging, then that is driving audience. And this is the fresh perspective that we're seeing in the world today, is that the number one rule of gamification is make something fun. If it's fun and useful, now you've got a magic formula. So all of this that we're talking about, social, mobile, gamification, really speaks to one simple concept, and that's this: the power of one to change many. The simple reality is, most of you who are listening to this call or watching this webinar tonight have probably been on a social media some way, shape, or form. You've probably been on Facebook. Statistically, you've been on Facebook or Twitter or something like that. You've probably downloaded some kind of app. The reality is, someone came up with that idea and said, how can I create more value for more people, and how can I make it a more transparent concept? And one of the phrases that I've learned from Brian that I really love is transparency is the new currency. You see, I've invited people to Facebook, I've invited people to download apps, but I've never been rewarded for that. As a matter of fact, most of the time I don't even get badges or prizes or points or leaderboards, but I've driven thousands of people onto Facebook because of my personal network. What if I had been rewarded for that social graph? What if there was a technology that says, hey, we built the platform, but you built the audience and you built the content? Now, let me clarify this for a moment. If you're on Facebook and you've ever invited someone to Facebook, even one person, you've helped build an audience. If you've ever made a post, added a picture, loaded up a video, or shared any of that content, you've created content. And if you remember back to the first slide that Brian was showing, where he said there was print and radio and TV, right? On the left-hand side of that slide, every piece on the left-hand side was controlled by the people who had the distribution and the content. They own the content through licensing, and they own the pipeline through the channels, right? However, the right side of that was the shift of trillions. On the right side, where we went social, what happened is people like Mark Zuckerberg and the kid who created Hotmail, they created a platform that allowed you and me to create the content and build the audience. So they don't even create content and build audience anymore like YouTube. Right? YouTube doesn't produce videos. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't produce all the content on Facebook. We do. So what if you could get in a game that allowed you to leverage great platforms, but also allowed you to be rewarded for the content and the audience that is built? That, my friends, is what we're talking about. That's what we shared at the last Playbook event 2.0. And the Playbook event 1.0. The Playbook event 2.0 that we're holding in Dallas on April 12th to the 14th is going to show you the behind the scenes. It's not only a fun, exciting, gamified event, but we're going to introduce you to some of the most amazing trends in technology, some of the most powerful apps, and we're going to allow you guys to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure, that will allow you to peek behind this curtain of some of the most transformational technology that you'll ever see. You'll be able to see a platform that will allow you to actually monetize your audience and your content. So at the last event, we had some amazing speakers, people who, as Brian had mentioned, had built companies. One of the gentlemen he mentioned was John Carter. John was the gentleman he mentioned who raised $14 million for Mogul, the restaurant app that I talked about. Another one is a friend and advisor, Eitan Albez, who he and his brother built a company that is now known as Google AdSense. They sold that company for over $200 million to Google, and now Google has taken it to the next step, and it does $40 billion a year in revenue. So both of these gentlemen were on stage sharing their tips and their insights and in humorous stories and engaging ways, but they also were sharing how excited they are about the platform that we've been building that you guys are going to get to participate in. So there is obviously other great content that's going to be at the event. It will not be the exact same thing. As a matter of fact, we're going to be unveiling some things for everybody who's in the room that is going to be super exciting and put you in position to win. So I am going to see if Brian wants to hop in here and share anything else with you. But for those of you who are here because a friend was at the San Diego event or the Las Vegas event and said, you've got to come to this technology conference, it'll blow your mind, I would highly encourage you to sit back down with them again, ask them any questions. But this is truly one of the most powerful events on the planet, especially if you're looking for what's happening in the future with technology and trends like that. So, Brian, would you like to share anything before we wrap up?
Sure. No, definitely, Jim. Thanks for all that incredible information. And I think that being in the right place in the right time is probably overused in the marketplace. But once again, if you went through that presentation, I think that there's a heightened level of awareness that all of us have been participating in this really new economy, in these new engagement rules that have driven the market. We have been the primary drivers behind the marketplace over the last 7 and 8 years. And what we want to really do for everyone that's on this telephone line is include you in this inner circle and share with you some enabling technology that we know is going to sweep the entire globe because of the transparency that this platform that we are going to release is going to show you in the entire marketplace. But the transparency and the value of it is it shows you your value. And the most important thing I can share with everyone on the line is we have literally dove in and worked diligently for the last 15 months with some of the brightest minds in the marketplace from Wall Street to Silicon Valley to bring to you a platform that can be powered by you, but more importantly, rewarded to you for your influence in the marketplace. And so this event is going to be a monumental event because this is the event that we're going to really identify our inner circle players, the people that see what we see and believe what we believe, and help us take this enabling technology to the rest of the world. We're going to invite you to be a part of that system, and we're going to ask and engage you to start, connecting and inviting people in to help us create what we believe is going to be one of the largest ripple effects
that our marketplace has seen over the course of the last decade, because of the timing of being able to plug into all of these social graphs, and also to create an educational level of awareness that I think the marketplace is really already aware of, but it's going to be exciting to give them a vehicle to now help them understand what that means. So once again, hopefully that wasn't too wordy, Jim, but we're excited about Dallas. Make sure that you get registered. I know that right now we have sold more tickets than we had space for. We are scrambling to get you guys to the location of where the event's going to be held here in Dallas by the end of the weekend. And so it's a great opportunity that we have. But come join us in Dallas, and if you have any questions for the people that did join us in San Diego, I know that we promised you, we believe 90% of life is showing up. We promised you some rewards, before you get to Dallas. We're going to be sending some information out to everyone that was at that event on when you can start the engagement process with some of those rewards for showing up. So, and for committing to being in Dallas April 12th. So let the games begin. Game is almost on, and we look forward to seeing all of you in Dallas. Jim, once again, thanks for having me on the call. Michael Rutherford, definitely appreciate everything that you're doing. And for all of you, thank you for your time. And I'm going to turn it back over to you guys, Jim and Michael, to close out.
Thank you. And just a final housekeeping here. For those of you who are recognizing the bottom, it says playbookevent.com. When you go to playbookevent.com, it'll give you a little bit of information about the event. We, by purpose, don't tell you all of the subjects that are being taught and things like that. You will see an outline of some of it there. But again, connect with a person who has already been there or invited you to this call because they had the experience. And this is actually by design, you guys. The reason we don't share a lot of the content up front is because everybody who comes to this event will actually be signing an NDA, which is a non-disclosure, because we are sharing information that we quite honestly don't want out to the general public right now. That's the reason that this call was done by invite only. So when you go to the website, check it out, and then scroll down to the bottom. It'll say get your ticket, and what you'll see is you see the opportunity to buy tickets, either a single ticket, a 5-pack of ticket, or a 3-pack of tickets. Okay, you'll also see who else is already going as far as your friends. There's a neat little social plug-in and things like that. But when you click the quantity, let's say that you're going to do a 5-pack, and you click the quantity, it says order now. It will go in and it'll adjust the price for you. Okay. Now there's some promo codes, and the promo codes I'd like to give to you real quickly so that it drops the price down. Okay, so just a quick little heads up. If you're buying a 3-pack, if you enter in the promo code HAVE FUN, HAVEFUN, HAVE FUN, that will drop the price of the 3-pack down considerably. Okay, it'll actually drop the price of the 3-pack by 37%. If you want to buy a 5-pack, in other words, you're like, hey, I want to come and I'm going to bring 4 other people, so I want 5 tickets, then you can enter in the promo code GAME ON, GAMEON. Okay, and by the way, these promo codes are all one word, so don't put a space between have and fun. It's one word, have fun. And with Game On, okay, which is for the 5-pack, those words are all together, GAMEON. When you type in GAMEON on the 5-pack, that will reduce the price by 50% on all 5 of those tickets. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of details. Again, if you have any questions, make sure that you connect with a person who was super excited enough to invite you to this. And myself and Brian and Michael and the rest of the team are looking forward to connecting with you in Dallas. And I think that's it for tonight. So have an absolutely wonderful webinar or wonderful call. We'll look forward to connecting with you guys. Create a great day. Bye for now.